Hello, this is a Pacesetter training video on how to manually set up coverages in Xactimate. There may be several instances where you need to set up a coverage manually. Probably the most common coverage would be tree debris. That would be when we have taken trees off of structures and those trees are on the ground. Now we have a separate coverage that's triggered to haul that tree debris away from the premises. Another one may be code upgrade coverage, where we are adding some type of code upgrade to the estimate. We would need to add that coverage separately. We're going to set both of those up. They are set up a little bit differently. That's why I want to do both of these, so you have an idea of how to do these in the future. So to get to the area we need to start to set up the coverages, we need to be in the navigation bar to the left, select Claim Info, and then Coverages and Loss. Down at the bottom, we have the coverages set up. These are affix claims. We'll already have these coverages set up for you with the coverage limits once you get the claim. But we're going to add coverages. To do that, we're going to select Add Coverage. This has a list that shows up. It's an abbreviated list that's showing some coverages that I've already set up that you can select again. But we're going to set these up from scratch. As you'll notice, we don't see tree debris or code upgrade coverage in here. Again, this is an abbreviated list. To actually add coverages, to see the full list, to edit coverages, after you select that button behind this, Add Coverage, you have to select this link, Smart List. This opens up our Smart List screen, and it shows all of our coverages that we have previously set up. We can add coverages here. We can select coverages and edit those coverages. We can delete coverages. In this case, we're going to add a coverage, tree debris. So we select Add. We give it a name, tree debris. Typically, you're going to leave these settings alone. Just leave them set to default. Structural is fine. We want to leave this set to your personal list, not to save estimate only. If you select this, it will save only to this estimate. If you have something specific to this estimate, a specific endorsement, you may want to select this. But typically, you just leave this set to personal because we may want to use this tree debris coverage that we set up once here on other claims later. And it will be in your list that we can see with all the other coverages that you've set up. So let's say OK. Now we have our tree debris coverage. We say OK to go ahead and add the coverage in here. We're going to put the limit in here of $500. Typically, that's going to be the limit for tree debris for the affix homeowners policies, except the advanced policy. It's $1,000, but $500 per one tree. So now we have our coverage set up. Let's go put a line item in there and see how it looks when the insured gets the estimate. So let's go down to our tree debris removal room. And we'll just add in a line item. We'll say it's 8 hours, for instance. We're going to select the correct coverage. Remember, tree debris. We want to apply this to the tree debris coverage that we just set up. Okay, there's our line item set up to the correct coverage. Let's go take a look at it. It's letting us know here that we've exceeded a limit. Remember, we have a $500 limit, but we have about a $900 line item that we've added. There'll be another video I have on trees. If you haven't watched those videos, there's two videos actually, explaining a little bit about how to deal with exceeding limits. Take a look at those videos. That'll help. We also have another specific video on exceeding limits and absorbing deductibles. If you're not familiar with that concept, take a look at that. Very important. Okay, so let's finish. Let's take a look at the estimate. This is what the insured's going to get. We're going to see our coverage A dwelling summary, coverage B personal property, and here is our summary for tree debris, $901.92. This is how it's going to look to the insured. Separate coverage we've set up and assigned a line item to that coverage, so it will show up on our summary. Okay, let's go set up the code upgrade coverage. Let's go back to, let me delete this line item out very quickly here. bear with me, tree debris. And let's go back to coverages and loss. We'll remove this coverage. Now, it's not removing the coverage from your list. It's just removing the tree debris coverage we set up manually from this particular claim. If we select add coverage again, that tree debris is going to be in our list. We can select it again, remember, at any time later down the road for other claims. Okay, so let's remove that. Let's add the code upgrade coverage. We're going to do the same process. Add coverage, smart list, add, give it a name. We're going to leave these set as the default settings. Say OK. Now, here is where we're going to deviate a little bit. If we were to do this like the tree debris coverage and say OK and set this up as a separate coverage like this, that's typically not the way we want to do that. The reason why is on affix homeowners policies, except the advanced policy, that's different. That policy has some different quirks in it. But for all the other affix policies we deal with, the code upgrade coverage typically is built into the base policy. It's covered. Coverage is available. It's built into the base policy. And it's typically $10,000. And it is a sublimit of coverage A. It's not additional insurance on top of the coverage A limit. On the advanced policy, typically that's going to be the case. It's going to be an additional amount of insurance that the insured purchases through an endorsement. The base policy on the advanced policy does not have that code upgrade coverage. It doesn't have the coverage at all. The insured has to purchase an endorsement that gives them that coverage as additional insurance. On some of the commercial policies for AmFam, it is also additional insurance. So let's set up the coverage properly. So what we're going to do is remove this. We've got the coverage set up, remember. We've got it in our list, but we're not going to set it up as a new separate coverage. We're going to set it up under the dwelling coverage as a sublimit. So we're going to select this right here, add options under the dwelling coverage. Now this is a little bit confusing. We're going to set it up under the additional coverage area. Here we're going to set up code upgrade. You always select the aggregate field only, put the limit in, $10,000. We don't put it in the single line item. We want the aggregate field properly. And then this is not additional insurance. I know this is a little confusing how this is set up with Xactimate. It's under a separate setting here, but we're going to uncheck this box. The reason why we set it up here under this particular additional coverage area and not sublimit, even though it is a sublimit, is because if we set it up under the sublimit, it will not show up under the summary for the insured. They won't see that code upgrade, the amount of money in a summary set up separately. It'll be built into the coverage A dwelling coverage under that summary, and the insured and their contractor won't be able to see that code upgrade coverage amount split out. That's if we set it up here. If we set it up down here, it will be split out. We'll look at that in a minute. So we set it up under coverage A. It's a sublimit technically, but we set it up under this row here, additional coverage. We've given it a name, or rather selected it rather from the list. Always put the limit here in the aggregate field, and we've unchecked additional amount of insurance. So we're good to go. We're going to say OK. Let's go to the estimate and add a line item. We're just going to add a random line item here, let's say in the down here in the siding room, for instance. Let's just pick a siding line item. We'll do vinyl is fine. And let's say it's 200 square feet. Again, we're going to drop the coverage menu down and select the correct coverage code upgrade. You'll see that it's indented here, meaning that it is a sublimit. We set it up not as a separate coverage, but we set it up as a sublimit of coverage A. So let's select the coverage. It's going to be set up with paid when incurred. Typically, that's going to be the case. So let's say OK. You'll notice that when we have the paid when incurred box checked, the line item text is all in a kind of a reddish brown color, and it's crossing out the RCV amount, and Xactimate is adding a note. This item did not previously exist or expands the scope of repairs, but is required by current building codes. The code upgrade cost is payable when incurred, subject to limits. So it's putting this amount in, but it's subtracting it out. In other words, it's telling the insured, this is how much we will pay you when you actually install this item, the code upgrade item. The contractor can send their estimates in, and then American Family or Homesite, the affix carrier, will pay this amount. But in the estimate, it's not paying it. So let's go take a look at this on the summary and the sheet that the insured's going to get. As we'll notice, there's our summary for coverage A dwelling upgrade. If we set it up the other way, under that first sublimit row, this summary section would not be visible here. It would be built into this coverage. We want this split out so the insured and their contractor can see what line items are set to that code upgrade coverage. Again, it's telling them, yes, we'll pay this amount, but in this particular estimate, it's not included. Now, you as the adjuster can still get paid on this. This will add up to the total gross loss of the claim, and you can invoice on this. It's just the insured will not get this amount of money up front because it's paid when incurred. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions on setting this up, please contact your manager or claim supervisor. As usual, we'll be more than happy to help you. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.